I was a wreck. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life.
And the whole time you're waiting, everybody's like, these are the best years of your life.
On paper, I had it all. I was making $70,000 a year at the age of 28. I was working for the federal government. Everything was perfect about my job, except for one tiny, kind of important thing. I was miserable. Our generation wants to work with purpose.
Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you want to be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you.
Hello everyone, my name is Karina and today I'm going to be talking about life in your 20s. I wanted to start a new thing on my channel called 20s in the 20s. So it would just be a bunch of topics that are really relatable, being 20, like from 20 to 29 I guess, and living in today's age, like 2020. These are the 10 things that nobody told you about, but you should know in your 20s. I definitely feel like the word that would describe the 20s is being restless, just because you're constantly either moving, not knowing where you're going, or stuck in one spot and you want to be moving, just don't know what's going on. Everything you've envisioned your life to be in the 20s, not all of it is going to happen, and dare I say, maybe none of what you envision it to be. I think you have to completely burn all of your expectations about turning 20, completely just like burn it to the ground. We tend to just like idealize a lot of things. Things have a way of working out, but just never in the way that we think they are, or never in the way that we plan on. You know, turning 20, you're still growing, developing your ideas about who you are and what you want to be, and kind of just what you want to do in the world. When you're so young, it's so hard to envision your life for the next 60 to 80 years. Kind of just shred every ounce. To shred every ounce of expectation. Now, expectations are different than goals. So obviously it's very important to have goals, because I think it's great to dream and want to do great, amazing things. But the thing with expectations is that it just like suffocates you, and it puts you in this box of like, okay, this is the only thing that you have to be, or you have to turn into. You're basically living a life of illusion, like a alter reality of like what you envision yourself to be, living the day-by-day life, thinking, okay, one day this is all going to change, one day it's going to be different, and so that hope kind of like leads you along. But sometimes we lead ourselves on so much. Who we want to be in the future might never come true. We want to have goals, but we don't want to constantly be living in disillusion. So we have to find a balance. You're going to feel lonely, anxious, uncertain, confused, indecisive, miserable, unimportant, insecure, and also just a huge imposter syndrome. It's hard because you're kind of in school ever since you could, like, I don't know, start talking, and so your whole life is basically preparing for you for this next step in your life after school. And so when you finally take that step, and like all of the movies and books you've read and just like people's experience that you've heard about, all of that weight of the world being compared in your mind once you're taking that leap and that step into the world after school ends. Well, am I doing this right? Is this how it's supposed to be like? Maybe I'm not, like, am I even good enough? Am I knowledgeable enough to be doing, you know, this career choice, or talking about this certain topic that I know nothing about? Just all of these things that we just don't feel like we deserve. And this time in our lives is all about waiting. The lucky, happy part of being a human is just always waiting for something. But also, half the time you don't even know what you're waiting for. Waiting for it, whatever it is, whatever it means. Also your I don't know moments, like you really don't know a lot. Just because you haven't had obviously a lot of time and experience, especially in professional setting, you know, like you don't have exactly the skills and everything that you thought you would have after school. You finish school and you feel like maybe you should know more. It's very like experimental. It's like a huge experimental phase of your life. I think also being 20, we put so much pressure on ourselves. Like sometimes the pressure is so suffocating from ourselves, and we beat ourselves up, and we always just have these like high like, I don't know, successful type of ideas, like wanting to be like Steve Jobs or like Bill Gates. Like, it's not always like that. I think it's totally fine to live an average life. Like, you can be successful in the way that you are with having enough money to support yourself, and you don't have to be this big, like, I don't know, CEO of like something. Like, I think we're just so hard on ourselves. We don't always have to be the best of the best. Another thing that's really hard, I think, to grasp is always having to prove yourself to people. Like, you have to constantly prove your independency, that people can trust your judgment. And the hard part about it is that you're just starting out, so maybe you don't always know to trust your own judgment. Now, you might not have the career that you've always wanted or dreamed of. This is just the beginning. It's literally just the beginning of your life. So sometimes we feel like straight out of college, we come out and we're just like, you know, the world is full of opportunities and I'm gonna get them all. And then you start applying to jobs and you're like, this is the time to figure things out. That's the thing. Like, you expect to have your whole life planned out and set out for you literally as soon as you turn 20 or like out of college, right? But you're the one who has to build it up for you, and that takes time, years. And that's what's going to help turn your life around in the future. So basically what you're working towards right now is going to yield like amazing things for you down the line. So do things now that you know your future self will be really happy and grateful for that you did right now. I think it's also important to figure out your weaknesses in this time, and trust me, you're going to find a lot of them. You're going to figure out some weaknesses that you didn't think you had, but were basically a part of your DNA this entire time, and you are just gonna have this like self-realization moment where you're just like, whoa. Those are the things that are gonna follow you around to your 30s. So might as well sizzle them out, you know, now. Something else that I'm recently learning is save. Save money, don't spend. Rule has some exclusions and it's in small writing, and it says Starbucks excluded because my house never has coffee, and so that's the only joy that I find in buying coffee is from Starbucks. Credit card is not your friend. It's only your friend when you have money to cover it. Now, do you really want to spend every single second, every day of your 20s just worrying and hating your body? It's so exhausting, and you think as soon as you turn 30, that's just gonna go out the window? That you're gonna just magically change your mind and be like, oh, I love my body now. No. If you're negatively thinking about your body and yourself now, guess what? That's gonna haunt you in the 30s. So it's really important to positively train your brain. Whenever you have negative thoughts, just spin it in a positive way and try to do that for like 21 days or like a month or however long it takes you to create a habit so that you just don't have a lot of like ghosts chasing you when you're 30. People not paying attention to you does not diminish your self-worth or your value in the slightest. You are always worth it before people validated it. Period. Now the mood swings. Oh man. Things are on a whole different level. Lots of emotions, lots of breakdowns. It is what it is. Something that's really hard, again, to do is not comparing our lives with other people, especially in the social media age. It's really just shutting the world out and just focusing on you. Definitely not rushing yourself. Obviously, depending on the circumstances, taking all of the weight of the world and all of the pressure out and kind of just focusing on what you can add to the world. There's going to be a lot of things that make you different and special, and those are the things that are going to set you apart from people. Those are the things that are going to help you climb up the ladder in whatever it is that you are pursuing. A lot of the time you're uncertain and unsure about yourself, but those are the moments where you're going to look back on and you're going to be glad that you didn't give up, because those are the moments that a lot of people do give up on because they get discouraged. But your discouragement doesn't have to be the end for you. Just be even more, have this like more like zest for, you know, accomplishing that goal that you really want to accomplish. And the last thing is just give everything to God. Like, just give him all of the control, all of your problems, all of your doubts, all of your insecurities, the not knowing what's going to happen in life. A lot of the times you don't see the results of what you're doing for the future. At times you just might feel like you're not living up to your potential, because every side of you is just like being stretched out, and all of the ups and downs, all of the failure. His way and his plan is always bigger, it's always different, but way more worthwhile. Give it all to God and He will direct your path for sure. And then you'll have a beautiful story to tell to people and inspire them as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got something new out of it. And I hope you have an amazing rest of the day. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, and I'll see you in another video. Bye!